It was given to you just before the meeting, and so, but you'll be able to read it. We won't do anything with it. It is the answer from the State of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection to the referencing the Carney's Point Sewage Authority. It is answering of a letter that I wrote to them back in July 19th, asking the ability to plan to expand our facilities if we do not hook up the regional solar project, which would be connected with DuPont. They sent back a letter, and I'll just read a couple lines on it. The existing DuPont facility has ample capacity to serve any foreseeable growth that may occur in this region. Therefore, order for a department to approve an expansion, a treatment plant, and then they go on to say a lot of things that I don't even understand about sewage departments and so forth. So we do have this letter. You guys can read it over, and we passed it on to the sewage authority. So it's sort of an answer to what they had asked us to do, writing to them. So, any questions on this? Okay, anything else, gentlemen? If not, at this time I'll open up to public participation. Anyone that has something, has any comments, please. Your name and address, and address your comments to the Township Committee. Mr. Stockwell.
Ronald Stockwell, Dixie Drive. One quickie back to Mr. Johnson, was it? Is there a way that we could probably put truck route signs out there to keep them off of Game Creek Road?
Well,
that might be a quick fix.
That's what we were talking about. Right.
Okay, I'd like to thank the chief. We've been having a lot of patrols, and the kids are pretty good this year. It's getting to the point where they're getting a little upset with me because I stand out in front of the house with a camera and the kids start hollering at each other. He's taking pictures again, he's taking pictures again. But they've been on the sidewalk, so they're pretty good. Thanks a lot, Chief. I do have, we are having one problem though. On weekends after the football games and the sports things at night, when they're out late, Saturday, this past Saturday, it's the second time now, this past Saturday, a young man next door to me who's 10, just got a bicycle for his birthday, was trying to ride his bike. And the group coming from the football team wouldn't let him ride his bike because they were in the middle of the street stopping cars. Now, I understand it's a short time and like that. I'm just concerned that they're stopping cars on the weekends now, and then they wouldn't let the young man ride his bike. He's 10. He's telling me the college kids and assist the high school kids at a football game. Is there something that we can do? It's a very short period when they come back from the game, but I mean, not to let a 10-year-old ride his bike, I thought that was pretty bad.
Anybody have any suggestions?
No, the only suggestion, obviously, and I'm sure the chief would agree, would be that we can increase patrols during the football game ends. You know, we could have a car in the local area, and that will probably suffice right there. And I'm sure that will happen the next football game.
Well, it's just like after the game, like about a half hour or so after, when you're all coming home. You know, I appreciate it, everybody revved up from the game and all like that. The other question I had, and Pensgrove's been asked about this, and you have a copy of my response to Pensgrove that I gave you earlier for the committee. It's really getting to be a problem around 3 o'clock, about 10 minutes to 3 to about 10 after. The Miller Avenue Dixie Drive corner and the Miller Avenue Iona corner. There's a lot of young adults, and I got to say that because they're all coming from the high school, going that way, and you're getting bunches. And actually, I think that if you talk to the chief, they've had to call a bunch of cars out there a couple of weeks ago because I don't know what was going on. All I know is there's a lot of noise. I have no idea how to address it. I'm not even sure the chief can help address it that way. But there's got to be something we can do, maybe with Pensgrove, to look at those two corners, Miller and Dixie, and Miller and Iona. It's like a bottleneck. Thank you.
New sidewalk.
There's no sidewalks there.
On the other side, on that.
That's on 130.
Side. Thank you, Ron. Anyone else for public? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Vicki Ramons, and I live on 87 Benton Drive. Of course, what Jean's issue was the fountains. We only have 2 running out of 3. The next thing is, when they did that development, they were supposed to preserve some trees in our area, and I don't know if any of their neighbors, I don't know if you were aware of it, but one of the trees is dead on lot 7, and I assume they have called Scarborough, and they called Ryan's home, again, finger pointing at each other. The issue we have is the tree's dead, nobody wants to take responsibility for it, to bring it down.
On Lost, have you seen the tree?
Me and Brian went out there.
Those of you have been out there.
Is that a sold lot?
What do we have?
It's between 2 lots. Brian and myself went out there to take a look at it, and the tree just recently died over the summer. It's a large tree, and it was one of the ones that was called to be preserved. So we've yet to.
We get to look into.
Who owns the tree? Who owns the lot? Where's the tree?
It's between 2 lots.
Well, somebody.
2 lots.
There are existing homes on those lots.
Well, Scarborough owns it then?
No.
Have they,
The lots
there are
are sold.
existing homes on each lot, so we have 1 tree and 2 families own the tree.
And
But neither one of them's gonna have to agree that they own it.
no, and the one, the fellow on the right, the branch that's literally hanging over top of his house.
If the tree comes down,
It depends on which way it goes, but it's going in the
who's
water.
responsible for it?
The owner of the tree.
The tree.
Unfortunately,
It's a preserved tree.
the difficulty is that these trees were preserved, and there's a state agency that, in addition to the cost, which the
That
fellow
target
told us,
those trees to be preserved.
so there's a red tape process.
Okay, so we have a dead preserved tree. Okay, all right, now how are we gonna take care of it? We can't go out and cut it down,
No.
is that what we're saying?
Right.
Because it's not our tree.
Correct.
It belongs to the 2 people that own the house, which don't wanna really confess that they own
And I've been in contact with Scarborough and Ryan Homes, who both state that they know.
it. And Vicki, excuse me, is your house in jeopardy?
Not my house particular, but
Okay.
my other neighbors are, yes.
I see.
We're only like a house away from each other.
And,
The question we had, which was whether the tree was going to be dead as soon as they cut the ground for the foundation, and whether they should have. There's a question of whether the builder might have.
Knowing that when they put the foundation
Right.
for the home, they put the root system and
Right.
killed the
okay,
tree.
okay.
So what we were going to do was look into the approval and find out just what happened with the tree and sort of understand the process of getting it done. To understand what happened, really, not necessarily do anything about it, but just to understand, because unfortunately it belongs to 2 residents.
It's taking you longer to explain it to me than it would if I cut the tree down. Let's see what we can do about if this tree is dead. Somebody has to own that tree. And if the landlords own it,
A
then
buffer or anything, right?
No, it's
Landscaping, tree buffer.
No, but it was that tree, and there's a couple other ones on the other side of the street that have.
Yeah, this probably won't be the last time we're going to run into this situation.
well, I would assume that the person, when they purchased the home, the tree belonged to somebody, and they're responsible for it. I know if a tree dies in my yard, I have to cut it down.
Right.
I'm sure the rest of us do too. So,
Yeah, that's pretty much what we told the resident, that, unfortunately, it's not a township issue, although we said we would try to help them understand how we got to this point. He had gotten a price of, I think,
Vicki,
$6,000.
you're at 87,
I'm on 87.
and the tree is probably
Across the street on 91.
on 91.
The issue is because of being Scarborough working around and they don't know whether that disturbs the tree, and now the tree is dead within a year that they moved in
Right.
there. I mean, they feel they shouldn't be responsible for paying to cut down the tree, which the tree is supposed to be preserved.
I agree with you.
So that's the whole issue they have.
Okay. Let's get in and I'll go around, take a look at the tree, and we'll come up with something. Okay? Well, somebody's gonna cut that tree down.
Well, yeah, because it's either gonna go on the street or
That's right.
on somebody's house.
And let's contact Scarborough, since they're not too cooperative anyway, to see if we can get the tree cut down. Tell them they killed the tree. How do we know? All right? I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Vicki. Anything else? Anyone else for the public? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the meeting and go into executive session, resolution 2007-173. Does anyone else have any comments?